He's just a regular guy with a cool job that God loves for some reason. Welcome to the Steve Marston Show, a daily journey in learning how to live more like Jesus, conversations with those that God is working through, and dad jokes. It's the most unique show you'll hear today. Now, here's Steve.
All right, greetings and salutations. Welcome in. It's the Steve Marston Show, and we are here on a Friday. It's a fun Friday where we crank up the fun to 11. And if you know that reference, you and I can be friends. We're going to have a big show for you today, and including a visit from Adam Holtz, who is the director of PluggedIn.com. We'll be talking about movies and streaming TV shows and all kinds of things entertainment-wise that you and your family can maybe take advantage of here this coming weekend, and so much more. So we want you to hang with us as we move through. Now, I'm going to start today with something that doesn't seem fun. In fact, it seems like the opposite of fun. I mean, the complete polar opposite, because we're going to talk about death a little bit here. And you think, wait, what? I know. Just hang with me. Hang with me. We're getting to something really fun and cool and important. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Ben Sasse. Ben Sasse was a representative from the great state of Nebraska to the United States Congress for a long time. He left his post and went to become the president of the University of Florida for a long while. And it was just released, maybe 6 months ago, that he had stage 4 cancer. And it was rapidly taking over his body. And when he released that message that he had this diagnosis, he also gave a brilliant testimony, just how he knew he was going to die and that it was going to be okay because he's a faithful follower of Jesus. And he just let that be his press release. And everyone was like, wow, this is amazing. Somebody facing death in this manner. We talked about it on this program the day that the press release came out and how impressed we were by it. Well, since that time, he has been invited on a lot of different podcasts and talk shows simply because he's an anomaly. You just don't see people that are face to face with the Grim Reaper and having this attitude and being able to point others toward Jesus during this time. So he has been making the rounds on some of these podcasts, and it's been fun to watch. In fact, he even launched his own podcast, and he took the name from a Monty Python sketch. He called it I'm Not Dead Yet, which is morbid on one hand, but it was kind of tongue-in-cheek and fun on the other hand. Anyway, Ben Sasse was on with the New York Times, and they do a podcast, and he was asked some very pointed questions about what is going to be inevitable. The doctors say anywhere from another 3 months to maybe a year if he's lucky. What do you do when you get that kind of news? How do you react? Well, Ben Sasse is just giving us an example for all of us, because he's not pie in the sky with it. He's not saying, oh, hey, everything's great and groovy and fine. I can't wait for it. No, he's real and he's transparent, but he also brings the hope with it. I want to play you a couple of clips here from his appearance on this podcast. The first one is he talks about the heaviness of death and the things that he's not looking forward to by having to prematurely check out of this life. So let's watch this first one.
if you're only going to get 3 or 4 months, you really want to get some of your affairs in order. And my boy was only 14, and I felt a heaviness. I knew that God wasn't surprised by the diagnosis. There is not a maverick molecule in the universe, but I didn't like the idea of my 14-year-old son not having a dad around at 16. I didn't like the idea of my daughters, who are 22 and 24, not having their dad there to walk them down the aisle. And I felt a real heaviness about that. But I've continued to feel a peace about the fact that death is something that we should hate. We should call it a wicked thief. And yet it's pretty good that you pass through the vale of tears one time, and then there will be no more tears. There will be no more cancer.
Isn't that amazing? You just pass through it one time, then it's all over. Whew, that's the hope that we have. By the way, I should have mentioned on the front end of that clip, those of you that are watching the video stream, his face is, it looks like he's been in a fight. It's just all red with little contusions and different things. And it's because of the treatment that he's going through. And it has left these whelps and this badly disfigured look on his face. I probably should have warned you in case you were a little squeamish. I apologize for doing that. But he's very real and very open, as I said, in this podcast with the New York Times. And just think about this. He is a Republican guy who was very pro-life, very much conservative, the whole family values kind of thing that we all kind of really believe in. Normally, that's not the type of people the New York Times want to bring on their podcast. But because of him really living out his faith, they've invited him on. And at the very end, this is a quick clip I want to play for you, though. The host asked Ben Sasse the pertinent question, the question that I don't know if I had the chance to interview him that I would really have the guts to ask, but it's what's on everybody's mind. So kudos to the host. He asked former U.S. Representative Ben Sasse if he was ready to die. Here's his answer.
But he says, you can't keep the children from me. And we're told that we get to approach the Almighty. We get to approach the divine and call him Daddy, Abba Father. That's pretty glorious. And I know that that's what I need.
Yeah, and the host was choked up a little bit by that answer. We didn't get it in that clip there, but he did say, well, no, I'm not ready to die, but I really don't have a choice in the matter. And here's the thing. None of us have a choice in the matter when you really get down to it. Now, in a way, you can look at Ben Sasse and think he is blessed because he knows his expiration date. He's able to take this time and really focus on what matters. Most of us don't get that. We don't know when our number is going to come up. We like to think we're going to live forever. We like to think that death is a long way off, whether you're a teenager, whether you're just in the prime of your life, whether you're just recently retired, even if you're elderly, even if you're someone in your 70s or 80s, you still think of death as a long way off. But here's the thing. 10 out of 10 of us are going to die. It doesn't matter how smart we are, how rich we are, how good looking we are, what our bank accounts look like, how we treat people, how we don't treat people. None of that matters because we all are going to come up to it at some point. Ben Sasse has been given at least a window of, hey, this is all you've got left. And he's making the most of it. We ought to take a lesson from that. I ought to take a lesson from that. To make the most of the time we were given, because you know what? The time we're given has an expiration date. It's only going to last so long. And once it's gone, it's gone. Just got to live our lives in the mindset of that. All right, back in a minute. Stay. All right, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We're on a couple of great radio stations, AM 630 The Word in San Antonio, Texas, and Faith Talk 99.5 in Little Rock. We are glad that you are listening on those stations. Those of you that are around the world watching us all over the place, we appreciate you joining us through the live stream of the video. And we appreciate you so much downloading the show and being a part of the podcast as well. And I just hollered at, hollered is a harsh term. I just spoke to producer Tommy during the break that I was blown away by something. I was just kind of perusing the download numbers for our podcast. And I bring this up not because I'm trying to puff myself up and think, oh my goodness, look at my little podcast. This is all thanks to you. This is all thanks to people like you listening and watching. So this is why I want to trumpet it a little bit. Just in this week alone, we have had a lot of downloads, a bunch. The most downloaded country that took our program was Vietnam, which is kind of cool, followed by the United States, which is also pretty neat. And we have big fans in Kansas. I don't know why, but thank you, Kansas. They are always there. They're always the most listened to city outside of San Antonio and Little Rock here. But the next country down is what just made my eyes pop out, and that's the country of Iraq. Iraq is listening to this show. We had a couple of downloads in Baghdad, and then I'm not even going to try to pronounce the names of these other towns. But there's an underground movement of Christianity that has just been growing like gangbusters. Most of it is in Iran, but a lot of it is there in Iraq too. So I'm assuming these are believers that have somehow come across us. So please know that you are in our prayers. And if this is encouraging you at all, thank you. I am humbled by all of you listening, whether you're in Iraq, in Vietnam, we've got Mexico, South America, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Brazil, Chile, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Ethiopia, Ghana, India, Jamaica, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Morocco, Pakistan, Peru, Qatar, Tanzania, the United Arab Emirates, Uruguay, and Venezuela. That's all this week. That's this week alone. So I don't know why, but I'm thankful. And I'm not going to, what does it say? What did he say? Look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm so appreciative and so just humbled that you guys are joining us here on the Steve Marston Show. Okay, let's get to our fun little segment we do every week. Lots of programs like to, dissect things that's happened in places like the Politico or the New York Times or the Washington Post or the Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune. Not here, not ever on the Steve Marston Show. No, instead, we like to review the goings-on in the Babylon Bee, which is the satirical website that, yes, pokes fun at politics, sure, but also pokes fun at the church bubble too, those of us that reside in it. So let's get to it. Producer Tommy, a little appropriate music for us here for the Bee review. And you know about Artemis 2. Artemis 2 has been circling the moon and is on its way back. I think it splashed down. I think either already has or will in the next couple of hours off the coast of San Diego. They took some amazing pictures of the moon and how Earth looks like tiny sliver way off in the distance, and the moon is right there in your face. So the folks at the Babylon Bee can reveal to you now that the crew of the Artemis 2 has discovered many things on the dark side of the moon. In fact, here are the top 8 things our astronauts were able to find on Earth's one and only moon. Number 1, they found that there were rocks, lots and lots of rocks. Number 2, they found Starbucks. He says, man, they're really everywhere. Number 3, 1 million plus of those Mylar birthday balloons. Because people let them go in the air, that's where they landed. They all ended up on the moon. Who knew? Number 4 on the Babylon Bee's list of discoveries made by the Artemis 2 mission on the dark side of the moon, a Somali daycare. See, there's a little political shot for you. The owner says it has a huge client base, but we had doubt that it's really legit. That's funny. That really is a good one. Number 5 is a Shohei Ohtani home run ball. Not even Earth's atmosphere can contain his power. Well, that's pretty true. Number 6 on the list of the Babylon Bee's dark side of the moon discoveries by the Artemis 2 mission is several boxes labeled Epstein files. Someone should have been really trying hard to keep these from being found. Well, yeah, I would agree with that as well. Number 7. Now look, number 7 you can take as a shot and as distasteful, or you can take it like I do as something very funny. Number 7 is Amelia Earhart. Say it's always the last place you think to look. Well, maybe so. Maybe so. And finally, and none too soon, the number one thing, or the number 8 thing, I guess, that the Babylon Bee has reported that the crew of the Artemis 2 mission to the dark side of the moon has found the Chinese moon base. It's been there for years. Oops. Sorry, we didn't know you were already there. So there you go. That wraps up the Babylon Bee week in review here on the Steve Marston Show. Okay, we've got plenty of stuff coming up for you here. We've got our dad joke of the day coming up. We've got some cool video from South Korea. You're going to love this. We'll get to that coming up in a little bit as well. But next, our buddy Adam Holtz. He's the director of PluggedIn.com from Focus on the Family. He's going to be joining us, and we're going to talk about some movies that are out and a brand new Star Wars TV series that's streaming on Disney Plus that's out as well. All right, so stay with us. We'll have all of that coming up next. It's the Steve Marston Show, and we're back in a minute. All right, welcome back. It's the Steve Marston Show on a Friday. It's great to be with you. You like to connect with us, send us an email, steve@salemmedia.com. We'd sure love to hear from you no matter where you're listening or watching from. Time to bring in our special guest. It's Adam Holtz. He's here every week on the program, and he's the director of PluggedIn.com, which is a ministry of Focus on the Family. Welcome back, bud.
Hello. How are you, Steve?
Man, I'm doing well, doing really good. So thankful it's Friday. It's been one of those kind of long weeks, man, where you have lots of long days, and then you're getting home late from work, and you got to get up and do it all over again. It just seems like it's starting to catch up with me. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Well, I will. I'll punch that card too, my friend.
Yeah.
We can start a support group. Call me later.
We'll do. We can have our own T-shirts made up and stuff.
That's right. I'm a
There you
tired
go.
dad, and
Exactly.
nobody noticed and nobody cared.
Hey, there you go. That's the T-shirt. That right there is the T-shirt, my friend. All right, let's get started with.
I've told my wife more than once, and this is me working on my comedy routine.
Right.
On my gravestone, I tried.
There you go.
Right. Because
Sure.
how many times has she told me I needed to get 3 things at the store and I got 2 of them and I just straight up forgot the 3rd one.
Oh yeah.
Like, I tried.
And how many times is it like, okay, I need you to go and get some Benadryl, but then we also need toilet paper and we need, something else. So you get the toilet paper and the something else, but the main thing is the one you forget. That happens to me.
This is the infinite jeopardy of being a husband, and the infinite glory of mom is that mom doesn't forget things, but dad does.
And it's irritating, isn't it?
It is irritating, and sometimes it just feels straight up unfair. But now we're like really in like stand-up territory, but it's true. It's also true. So we can talk about movies now. Thank you for letting me digress.
Hey, absolutely. I'm always here for you, brother.
Always here for you. I feel your pain.
Right. All right, so let's start off. You sent me this text about this anime called Charo.
It's just Chow.
I had to
look it up.
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm like, and even actually listening to the Japanese, it's got subtitles. It was hard to tell. So this is quite literally a strange kettle of fish. This is an anime movie. It's not rated. And sometimes when things are, NR, you're like, oh, that can be bad, right? Because sometimes people don't want stuff rated because it's really nasty. I'm thinking this didn't get rated because it's like somebody said, this is just straight up too weird to rate. We're just going to give it a pass.
We don't know where to draw the line on it.
We don't know what's going on here. So imagine Little Mermaid as an anime movie with subtitles, only instead of Ariel being a cute little human girl, she's a fish for 80% of the movie. Not a fish in the water, a fish on land as a sort of humanoid, vaguely Godzilla villain girlfriend / bride. And you've got Chow. Now, some of you may be thinking, sign me up. Where do I get my ticket? Because it's so weird. I want to actually see if this guy knows what he's talking about or not.
Yeah, I have some of those friends.
Right. No, I do. I do. And I have been them in a previous life.
Right.
No, and it's actually a weirdly sweet romantic movie about a human whose parents set him up in an arranged marriage with basically a mermaid, with the caveat being she doesn't look like a mermaid very often. Most of the time she's a fish. And she is the most devoted, loyal, sweet, lovely, nice fish wife you could ever hope for. And you're like, and what's the weird twist? I'm like, no, that's it. That's the movie. She's a sweet fish wife. I mean,
wow.
For everybody who says I'm tired of the same old sequels, I'm tired of Batman 18, I'm tired of Friday the 13th 75, I give you Chow. Okay? Go buy your ticket and let's talk. So I'm being somewhat sarcastic. It's a pretty sweet movie. There's a little bit of suggestive content. There's a little bit of profanity. It probably would have been somewhere between PG and PG-13 if they had rated it. And I think the thing that's important here, my sarcasm notwithstanding, the anime subculture in the United States is enormous.
It is.
And if you're not in it, you don't know. Okay. And so probably you've got a few people here today who actually know all about this movie and are probably already angry at me that I have kind of made fun of it. And actually, it's a pretty nice little movie. So, but it's weird. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's like watch the trailer and you'd be like, oh, I don't know about
Yeah. Not sure what I just saw.
I don't know what I just saw. So, but I do think that part of the appeal of anime, again, I'm going back and forth between sarcastic and really very earnest and serious. I think part of the anime appeal is, oh, I've actually never seen a story like that. I wonder what they're going to do with it. So there's some incredible creativity here. It's a beautiful movie. It's just,
Yeah.
it's different. It's
It's
different.
just different. Yeah. And
Yeah,
different can be good. Like what you said.
exactly.
I want to drop down to one that really caught my eye of the ones you and I wanted to talk about today. And that is Darth Maul, a new
Yeah.
series that's coming out on Disney Plus. Now here's the thing. You and I both, we've talked about this in the past. We're Star Wars guys. I mean,
Yeah.
from
From
the
the
jump.
jump. From the
You
jump.
know,
I mean,
yeah,
I,
yeah.
yeah.
And
1977, it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful year that will never be equaled again. I'm sorry.
exactly.
Disco
And
notwithstanding.
we've gone through all the sequels since especially Disney got a hold of it. And, they've spun it off so many times. You've had the movies like, about Solo and all the different kind of adjacent to the canon movies. Then you
Yeah.
had The Mandalorian, which I got to admit, I love The Mandalorian
Started
series.
strong.
It
Started
did.
strong.
Well, I say I loved it. I loved the first season. I don't think I
First
saw an
season was
episode
fantastic.
of the second season. And
Yeah.
then you had the Boba Fett, and then you had
Yeah.
this, and you had that. Now we're going Darth Maul, another kind of minor character in like really one movie of the
Right.
canon. So is this worth our time?
It is.
Really?
I'm so excited to tell you it is. Run home.
Fantastic.
Is it your lunch break yet? Can you quit early?
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
So here's where I'm going to start. I'm not even going to start with plugged in. I'm going to start with the competition. Rotten
Okay.
Tomatoes. It's at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for critics and
Wow.
94% for fans. Now, the fans and the critics have often been split with Star Wars in recent years.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes the fans love stuff and the critics are like, meh. And then we have, movies that shall not be mentioned anymore by me ever, like The Last Jedi, that the critics loved and the fans despised largely, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this takes probably the most wasted as in thrown away Star Wars character ever. A little bit like Boba Fett. Boba Fett shows up for all of like 15 seconds in the original movies, right?
Exactly.
He became this sort of cult character that he was on screen a little bit, but not very often. Then he got ate by the Sarlacc and then, regurgitated into a sequel 30 years later that
Which is
left,
bogus. He died.
left him there.
Everybody
Bro
knows
was dead.
Yeah,
Bro
he's
was dead. He's dead. He got ate. Okay. So Darth Maul, I'm actually going to have to turn in my Star Wars card now because I can't remember the name of his race, but his skin is red and black and he has horns. Like if you had to imagine, what do Satan's children look like? I give you Darth Maul. And in Phantom Menace, back in whenever that came out, 2000, he gets cut in half near the end of the movie. And you're like, oh, well, that's a waste. That was the coolest villain we ever saw. And now he's cut in two, and that's the end of it. Well, it's Star Wars. Getting cut in two ain't nothing but a thing, right? He's fine. He patches himself back together. This is the sort of post getting cut into origin story of Darth Maul, how he manages to literally get his life and his body back together and become a criminal gangster, sort of like Jabba the Hutt, kind of. And you can imagine that surviving getting cut in half is a bad experience. And it wasn't like he was particularly friendly to begin with.
Exactly.
So this is basically The Godfather only with Darth Maul. And he's a crime lord. And it's more violent. It's darker than some of the things that we have seen, the animated stuff we've seen in Star Wars, but it works.
Wow.
And people are loving it. They've already greenlit the second season. And so just when you think Star Wars can't get anything right, they're like, okay, here you go.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I honestly, I am really looking forward to that, especially since it's got such high ratings now. Because like I say,
Yeah.
with all the sequels and everything, it was just like, can we stop, please?
Yeah. It's the highest rated Star Wars property ever.
Wow, that's saying something.
Except for maybe maybe it's not higher than Empire Strikes Back, but it's of all the stuff
Recently,
since the original trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah. Adam Holtz is our guest. He is the director of pluggedin.com. You can find that website, and there's just tons of information there about everything streaming wise, movies, books, video games, you name it, entertainment there. It's your go-to place to find out all the kind of stuff you need to know. And then you can make your own mind up about whether you want to invest time, invest money in going and seeing these. And another one that we wanted to talk about this week is Hamlet. Now, I love Shakespeare when it's done well. Do you know when you see these movies that have been portrayed over and over and over, you get to the point of because I have a hard time reading Shakespeare because I have to just constantly read the same sentence like 5 or 6 times to get it through my little brain. But I love the movies when they can do it right. And I understand this one's done well.
It is done well. And it is set, it's a contemporary setting. And that's the interesting thing with Shakespeare is that sometimes we contemporize them.
Exactly.
And it's a contemporized version of Hamlet. And so Hamlet, his father is murdered by his uncle, who immediately marries, his mom, or his father's wife. I think it's not his mother. Forgive me.
Yeah, I think it is his stepmom. Yeah,
it's a stepmom. And basically, dad, as a ghost, says, "Go get him, son." I mean, it's a pretty dark story, honestly. And I think that we're also used to be or not to be. That is the question. And we forget that there's this whole other story attached to it. And this one is really violent. And the violence here is enough, I think, to earn the movie's R rating. We've got some club scenes that some women are not wearing very much. It's a great story. Shakespeare, or whoever used Shakespeare's name, if you're into conspiracy theories, knew how to tell a story. And so I think it holds up. I think it's an interesting depiction of it in a contemporary setting, but there is a fair bit of content here. So not one for the kids. If you're a Shakespeare fan, might be worth checking out. But as always, we point you toward our full review, especially with R-rated stuff. Sometimes things sort of creep into R-rated territories, and as R-rated movies go, this one's not crazy extreme, but it does have that rating.
All right, and one more before we go. We got a couple of minutes left here. You, Me, and Tuscany. Without even you telling me that was a rom-com, that sounds like the title of a rom-com movie.
Right.
Is it good?
It could have been You, Me, and a Tuscan Raider, and that would have been a Star Wars movie. A Star Wars rom-com. It's fine. I mean, it's standard issue. It's exactly what you think it is. Right. It's about a young woman who she and her mom are getting ready to go on vacation in Italy. Her mom dies. Her life falls apart. She meets a rich guy in New York. He says, "Oh, you should go anyway." She decides to go. She doesn't really think through it, doesn't have a place to stay, remembers that she's in the town where the rich guy was, breaks into his house, because you got to stay somewhere.
Of course.
That's not enough. She's going through his stuff. She finds an engagement ring, and the guy's mom and sister show up. And she has to now pretend that she is the fiance of the guy whose house she just broke into, who doesn't really know she's there. And then she falls in love with the guy's brother because we don't have enough plot tension already.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that does sound like a lot. It sure does.
And we've got some sensuality and we've got some language. So squarely in PG-13 territory.
There you go. Well, as we wrap up, Adam, tell us about the website, how people can get there, and all the little different features that you guys have besides just movies and streaming.
Yeah, it's pluggedin.com. It's just pluggedin.com. We're a ministry of Focus on the Family. We review movies, TV, music, games, books, YouTube channels. And if you are a semi-regular visitor to the site, you may not have noticed we have a new section for technology. And so we're really trying to deliver more of that kind of content. So definitely check that new section out. There's a lot of new stuff there. And we've actually posted a number of things that we've sort of pulled out of the archives over the last number of years on various topics. So lots to explore there. And then we have a blog where we also deal with the contemporary trends and technology issues that our families are facing today.
And it's so well done. You wouldn't expect anything else out of Focus on the Family. Adam, it's always a pleasure, buddy. We look forward to talking with you again next week. Okay.
My pleasure, Steve.
All right. That's Adam Holtz, everybody, from pluggedin.com. I'm so thrilled to hear about that Darth Maul. I can't wait. I think I'm going to get my 12-year-old. We're going to start binge watching that this weekend. That sounds awesome. Okay. We got more coming up. Our last segment, or our next to last segment. Hey, we got plenty of time left. Stay with us.
Everything they watch, we watch.
Sure.
I watch.
Dad told me his Wi-Fi password was Minnie, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Pluto, Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Dublin. He said he needed 8 characters and a capital.
See, that even took producer Tommy by a little shock. He wasn't ready for that punchline. I like that, though. Very literal on having to come up with a password. Welcome back. It's the Steve Marston Show, and we are rolling along on this fun Friday. Thankful that you are joining us. A couple of great radio stations, AM 630, The Word, deep in the heart of Texas, and Faith Talk 99.5, deep in the heart of Central Arkansas. So we are blessed and thankful that you are joining us here today. And, of course, the live video stream heading out to 1,000 different platforms. So let's see what else is going on today. I came across this. I thought this was kind of interesting. You know, from time to time, you have these organizations that put out these religious polls. You know, they ask about different things regarding life as a person of faith. And I don't know what to make of this. This one seems kind of strange to me. It says they wanted to find out who the happiest group of religious people are in the different traditions of religion. So you had the categories of very happy, and then not so happy. Okay, those were the three categories. The religious group that was most likely to be very happy was the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. And I guess that's a big deal. You know, supposed to call them Mormon, whatever. 38% there. And this show called The Last, what is it called? It's not the Real Housewives of Mormons. It's the Real Lives of Mormon Wives is what it's called. Yeah. My daughter, it's one of her guilty pleasures. She watches it all the time. So, I mean, it reminds me of the Real Housewives. So I guess maybe that plays a part of it. I don't know. Just for the note, for very happy evangelicals, which I think I would consider myself, and I'm pretty sure you would consider yourself if you're listening and watching, at 31% as very happy. And then the group that was not too happy was the Muslims, 23%. I don't know what to make of those numbers. I don't know if we really should make anything of those numbers, but just thought it was interesting and bring to your attention. Okay, I've got this clip for you. This is Brandon Lake on the Rolling Stone magazine podcast. I want to play this for you because I'm kind of conflated and torn by his answer to this. He's asked, I think the question's in the clip. So let's watch the Rolling Stone magazine podcast host ask CCM worship leader Brandon Lake a question, and watch this.
Since then, I would probably say I identify as Christian Buddhist in some way. And I'm not asking for your judgment of me, but I'm just asking in terms of Christianity and the church, is there room for that? Is there room for me? And maybe other people who, and I'm serious, and other people who may not identify even remotely Christian, is there room in the faith and also in CCM and your music for what I just identified as, or perhaps for someone who is even not even a footprint in Christianity?
Yeah. I would so hope that you felt like the doors were open. I think Jesus would love to sit down with you, would love to have this conversation with, and you can. I would hope the church would also be that open. Like, why would you not have a place here?
Yeah.
Even if we disagree on something, like, is that not what the church is supposed to be? Is a community? And when we might go, hey, we believe this, but if you don't agree, why would our doors be closed to you?
Mm-hmm.
When did Jesus, the only person I feel like I remember reading in the Bible that Jesus would kind of shoo away or kind of snap at was the Pharisee, was the one that said, you know, like would shame people when they've got sin in their own lives. They've got questions in their own lives. And so I can believe what I can believe and still be able to sit down and share a meal and go, we might not align on these things, but like, doesn't God call me to love you and to listen? And like, you might read something from that book that's like oh man, that makes me think like I need to spend more time, you know, doing this or that. Like, I think there's something we can all learn from one another, even if I believe this is the way for me. This is the way for mankind to have a relationship with God. But like, I think there's so much that can be gleaned from sitting down across the table. And man, I would be heartbroken if you tried to show up somewhere and you're like, hey, this is kind of what I identify as right now. And they're like, you can't enter these doors. Yeah. I don't think that's what the church is called to do. And so, yeah.
All right.
See, now I love Brandon Lake's heart on this. He's trying his best to answer the question, would a quote unquote Christian Buddhist be welcomed at a church service or one of his concerts? Hey, first of all, there's no such thing. I don't care. There's just not. Okay. Should you be welcomed? Absolutely, you should be welcomed. And Brandon, I think, is conflating two things: the hospitality, just being a kind human being and showing Jesus' love by talking to people and welcoming people and maybe having dinner with people. Absolutely. But when you're talking about, there's only one way for salvation. There's only one way that God has made, and it's through Jesus. And that's it. There's nothing else. And again, it comes down to this. You can have all of your, powwows, and you can have all of your little kumbaya meetings and stuff. And those are welcome and those are great. But at some point, the conversation has to turn to there's sin that's separating you from God. You cannot have a relationship with God because of your sin. And there's only one way to deal with that. That's either you deal with your sin and answer for it on your own, or you accept the free gift of mercy and grace that Christ provided for us. And when it comes down to that, that's when everybody starts to leave. And that's understandable. I mean, Jesus even said that. We're going to have those problems because the gospel divides people, because it makes us become introspective. It makes us take Jesus from being just a philosopher, teacher, good-hearted person, kind, compassionate, and all of that, to absolute and only Savior. That's where the dividing line is. And when we come to that, so many people fall away, and they have from the beginning. So, yeah, I appreciate Brandon's answer when he wants to welcome people and wants of any kind of belief or non-belief. But when it comes down to, is this guy going to be okay with God? No, he's not. Not until he comes to salvation. Back after this. Yep, just about to wrap it up for not only today, but for this week. Thank you for being a part of the program. And we like to every week take a Bible verse and try to learn it together as a little community. We've got Faith Between Your Ears is what we call the segment. And this week we've been learning Psalm 63:3. This is a verse that is really simple, but it's usually the simple ones that are pretty powerful. And it says, because your loving kindness is so great, my lips will praise you. Easy peasy, right? So let's learn that Bible verse. Let's get it committed to memory, because when we hide God's word in our heart, the Bible says we'll not sin against him. That's because it's right there between our ears. And that's what we need, I think, more than anything, to take that next step in our faith walk, is to know his word and have it be present when we come across situations. It just boom, drops in there because we've studied and we've got it memorized. So learn Psalm 63:3. All right. We also are doing Ministry of the Month with our 2 radio stations, AM 630 The Word in San Antonio, Faith Talk 99.5 in Little Rock. And we're giving away a book called Lennon, Dylan, Alice, and Jesus. It's the spiritual biography of rock and roll by Pastor Greg Laurie. Greg is heard on A New Beginning on both radio stations, and Harvest, which is the name of his church, is the Ministry of the Month this month. So be listening. Coming up here in the next little bit, we're going to start giving away copies of this book that is by Greg Laurie, who comes from a hippie background, was very involved in the rock and roll scene in the 60s and 70s, and of course, part of the Jesus Revolution. And it's a good book. So we'll be giving those away coming up here in the next couple of days. Every day we like to send you off with a smile, just a good feeling in your heart and smile on your face, as I said. So we search high and low, up and down, all around for the best video on the internet today. And boy, we found a good one. Here's Jeff Allen with The America I Grew Up In. Check this out. This is really
pleasure of growing up in America before the lawyers took it over and ruined it on us. In my day, if a kid fell off the monkey bars and chipped a bone in his arm, that was tragic, but it was funny to the rest of us. Certainly wasn't reasons to take the monkey bars off the playgrounds. We all did dumb things. That's how you learn not to do dumb things. You do dumb things, it hurts, and then you learn not to do it. When I was 12, someone told me to get a ball jar, canning jar. Find some dry ice, put it in the jar, put the lid on it. So I said, what's going to happen? They said, it's going to blow up. And I said, cool. Where do I get dry ice at? And they said, the ice cream man. So one day I heard the ice cream man coming down my street. I run out with one of my mother's canning jars, and I asked, you got any dry ice? He said, what you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to put it in this jar, I'm going to put the lid on it, and it's going to explode. Ice cream man says, oh, here's your dry ice. That's the America I grew up in.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's really pretty good. And honestly, I never heard of that before. I didn't know dry ice would explode in a canning jar. See, you learn something every day. That's why you come to work. That's why you listen to the Steve Marston Show. Producer Tommy, thank you. Adam Holtz from Plugged In, thank you for joining us. But most of all, thank you for listening and watching today. Be in church on Sunday. Encourage someone. Let your light shine, and we'll gather together at 3 o'clock on Monday, Lord willing. Till then, adios.